kingdoms collapse. Now anarchy reigns. You want it, you got it. Now anarchy reigns.
What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the You Want It, You Got It podcast. Today, I am joined by two members of the Orange County punk band No Solution, Brian and Joe. What's going on, gentlemen?
What's happening, man?
How's it going?
On? It's going good, man. It's going good. I heard about you guys obviously from Jay, and he told me a little bit about you guys, and we've been chatting back and forth, and he wanted to get you guys on, so I'm going to do that. I've been jamming your stuff, and I really dig it. Obviously the demo that's on Spotify and that's on Bandcamp. So how old is that music?
That came out in 2005.
Okay, so fairly new. You guys are yeah. I mean, you guys started in the 90s. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got when was that about?
95.
Okay, 95. And how old are you guys? What age ranges are we talking about here?
I'm 48.
I'm 55.
Okay, I'm 50.
Yeah.
So we're a bunch of old dudes.
When we
Getting up there.
when we originally moved to Orange County, because we're all from the desert up in the Mojave Desert, and then when we moved down to Orange County, I was only 18 years old. I couldn't go in the clubs. I had to sit outside until it was time to play.
Wow.
And then leave again.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
I was the baby of the group.
So you guys are two of the original. Are you guys the founding members of No Solution?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And how'd you guys meet?
I'm just playing through the music scene, growing up in a kind of a small town, and playing the same kind of venues, same kind of music.
What did you guys grow up on?
What was that? I'm sorry.
What were you guys growing up on? What kind of music?
I mean, a little bit of everything. Country rock, and then mostly the punk rock.
Punk rock, yeah. Same thing with you, Joe?
Yeah, same thing with me. That was the very first time I heard what was it? Telling Them by Social Distortion as a kid, man. When I heard that, I was hooked. After that, it was anything punk rock I could get my hands on.
Fuck yeah.
And for me, it was my sister was older, and she moved to London, and she was exchange student. She was going to Cal State Fullerton, Orange County, and she went over to London, and she brought me back the Sex Pistols tape. And once I heard it, it was on.
Oh, yeah.
I was listening to Ozzy at the time, and I put the Ozzy down and started listening to Pistols.
Hell yeah. I mean, Ozzy's still good,
Ozzy's still good.
Yeah. I'm a mixed genre guy, I mean, I started off, listening to like early 80s hip hop, like LL Cool J, Run DMC, that kind of stuff, Beastie Boys. And then I got introduced to Iron Maiden, Metallica. But like in that same year that I got introduced to Iron Maiden and Metallica, I got introduced to Misfits, Sex Pistols, DI, Token Entry, like a bunch of those kind of bands. And I was like, so much music out here, so much different types of shit, and I was hooked on punk after that as well. Not to mention, I'm a hair metal nerd too. So, so you guys started out in 95. Now you guys are just getting back on the scene again. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. We all, everybody got married and had kids, and now the kids are mine are turning 18 this month. So I have twins.
Oh, wow.
Now, they're all self-sufficient now, so we can pick the guitars back up and
do it again. So how long you guys been back on the music thing again?
Probably close to a year now, probably.
I think it's actually over a year now.
It's been over a year, probably.
It's like right at a year.
So
Joe and I were in the club, and we've had the itch for a while, but it was always just an idea. And then we ran into an old friend of mine that's been playing hard for a while, and a promoter asked us how serious we were, and him and I had already been thinking about it, and so we just went for it, and it's been a lot of fun, and we're hoping to keep going. It's been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, we saw each other at a TSOL show, and we're like, "Do you want to do it again? Let's do it again." So we turned it back on.
I think I've been
Now,
driving my wife nuts for years because I had the itch, but I just never had the opportunity, and the opportunity came up. So we're real privileged on it.
that's cool too, man. And it's just you guys are the only two original members in the band. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a similar, it wasn't as big as a break, but the band I was in, which that's who the intro at the beginning there was done by. But we took like a 5-year break, and then one day I was like, man, I want to do this again. So I invited all the guys out to the bar, sat around, we drink some beers. I had somebody take a picture of us, and I posted it online before even asking the guys, and then I was like, we're hanging out, having a good time. I mean, what do y'all think about getting the band back together? And everybody was like, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. And I was like, well, good, because I already posted online and said that. So there was no turning back. We had to do something. But so how's it feel to be back on the stage again, guys?
Yeah, it
It's
took a
good.
little getting used to again, but it's coming around.
Especially because you sing, right? So get
Yeah.
that cardio back up and moving
Oh
around.
yeah. For a while there, I was blowing my voice out, but we got it. It came back around, kind of like riding the bike.
Hell yeah, it is, man.
Yeah. I when I picked up the guitar again and started trying to keep up with the speed of some of the old stuff, I was like, I'm gonna have to call Brian and tell him I can't do this anymore. But I gave myself a couple weeks of just solid practice, and I was like, it was like riding a bike. It just turned back on.
I mean, you wrote it, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, if I can't play what I wrote, then it's a hard time.
Facts. So the rest of the members, how'd you guys get those guys?
Well, Jay, I've known Jay forever, since high school, and it turns out now he happens to be my brother-in-law. So that
Okay.
it's always good when one of your high school buddies ends up being family.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
he plays bass and guitar and some other bands, but when we said we were doing this, he's like, I want in. So brought him in, and then our other guitar player, Ryan, he was actually, he's one of my oldest friends. I was literally at his baby shower. I was an infant at his mother's baby shower. I'm told. That's how long I've been around that guy.
Damn.
And
He also happens to be my cousin.
yeah, and he's Brian's cousin. Yeah, it's a family affair. And he and I were in a band before, so it was, a pretty easy pick because I know he likes the music and I know he can play. So we got him, and then we all found we needed somebody young and fast on the drums. So we got our young buck on the drums. He's only what, 30?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he wasn't even born when some of these songs were written, which makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, it's weird to think about that as well, because I'm like, fuck, 30 years ago it was only 95. It's like, man,
Right.
I mean, I graduated high school in 94, so, but, what do you feel like it's different? Is there anything different you think compared to when you guys were playing then till now?
Different how?
Like, as far as like the scene?
It seems to me, I don't want to talk all over Brian, but it seems to me like a lot of the old bands that we played with that turned it off for a while are also turning it back on. And as far as I know, nobody had a conversation about that. I'm just assuming everybody's kids are about the same age now or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Brian?
Yeah, it is cool to see the bands we played with in the 90s. A lot of them are back around. So we've been reaching out and hope they're going to be doing shows with them. So the scene seems like it's alive again. I see a lot of good things with it. And the social media is a lot better now. Back when we were playing, we had to go out and push flyers, and it was a lot tougher then. Plus, we're having more fun with this now. We have better equipment now. We're into to our tones, which we never did before.
I mean, social media is it's a great thing. I feel it gets your music to a huger audience. It is easier to promote, which some people say it's lazier, but I'm guilty about it too. Once I was able to start promoting online, I quit printing up flyers and was just like, and don't get me wrong, I'd still get some flyers, drop them off tattoo parlors, drop them off some record stores. But as far as like going to a show or going to the mall and fucking passing out bills, and then when the show's over, all your flyers are all over the fucking floor. and there went $20 of printing. If you didn't have a friend at the local print shop, you know.
Right.
We were pretty good. We pretty much tagged all of Orange County. We had stickers everywhere. I mean, if someone seen our sticker somewhere on an off ramp on a freeway somewhere.
That's free promotion right there. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? I mean,
Right.
it's not
Yeah,
free. I see these stickers now have like the band's name and then like a QR code. I don't have time for that. I don't have time. I hate using QR codes at a restaurant nowadays. You know,
Right.
nowadays you go to a restaurant, you're like, oh, the menu's on the table. And you're like, where? And they're like, oh, the QR code. You got doop. And you pull it up and then you shut your phone down and then the menu's gone. You're like, fuck. Yeah. I thought about doing that for my podcast. I was going to do the QR codes. I'm like, who am I kidding? I don't even like looking at QR codes, you know? So
we did get a little bit in the QR code. We made some business cards. We can take the flyers and put it on the back of one. Just
there
so, you know, it's still got the good old fashioned phone numbers and stuff.
Or get it. I've seen t-shirts with the QR codes on the back, like the band name with the QR code. I'm like, yeah, I hope the print screen got that right because it might go to some other website, you know?
Right.
So, back in the 90s, like who were you guys playing with back then? You guys play with like, you know, any big bands or any just local bands? With
Yeah, we did
like
the Crowd and the Humpers and a lot of the early Orange County punk bands, El Centro and, you know, Smut Peddlers, a lot of the bands that, you know.
And as it happens, Mark Hoppus from Blink is from our hometown. He went to high school with Brian. And so they were just starting to make it big around that time. So we played a couple shows with them, and who else? Real Big Fish.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
That area of California has such a great music, you know, bands that came out at that time, you know, and so it's the same thing with the Bay Area, but just like SoCal, this scene down there, the ska scene was really huge, like the ska punk scene.
I think that's why we decided, we all jumped in and decided we were going to put our hands in and we're moving to Orange County. We wanted to be part of that scene in the 90s. You know, we were kind of limited. We were traveling and road dogging and going out of town like Bakersfield and towns around there, but we decided we wanted to go down there and be in the middle of it. I'm glad we did because it's been a neat adventure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Brian, I was told that, or maybe it was you, Joe. I can't remember who I was told this was about, but which one of you guys knows DI really well?
DI?
Yeah.
Brian.
Probably
you.
Casey Royer and them, yes.
Yeah. And they're back out again doing things, yeah.
Right. I'm actually trying to work on getting some shows with them right now.
Hell yeah, that'd be kind of cool, man. I remember hearing them for the first time, and I was like, "Wow, this is different." And then, because you know, I got introduced to DI and Dead Milkmen at the same time.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's some good shit back then.
Good old punk rock
So
girl.
Yeah, punk rock girl, man. Bitch and Camaro.
Right.
And we might. There's other song titles, but we're going to leave those ones off the air for now. You know, it's different times these days.
Right. Yeah. Get you canceled.
Yeah. Hey, I don't care. You cancel me all you want. Do you feel that's different nowadays too? With the way, do you guys still just write whatever the hell you want to write about? You don't.
Oh yeah. We don't give a shit. We got a song called "All Those People," which is the chorus is "fuck all those people." So
hell yeah,
exactly how we feel about it.
I hear you there, brother.
Yeah, I think we just write modern day problems. We're not really a political band. We just write people can relate to, I think.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day about writing lyrics, and you have a lot of people that write lyrics about just things they hear about or things they see. It's not really their life, you know. And I don't. You can tell that they're not real. And I'd rather hear you talking about a relationship you've been with or something like that, or you know. At least I know it's from the heart. It's from you. You know, it's a real song, and the lyrics are cool. And I get it. A lot of people write songs based after movies, and you know that too. You know, that's cool. You know, but so the band now currently, I mean, you guys are just playing whenever you can right now. Just what you guys got coming up next?
We got Vegas May 25th out there the same weekend as Punk Rock Bowling, so we're looking forward to that. That's going to be a
Oh
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys been to the museum yet?
Joe
Oh
has.
Yeah.
yeah. I was in the got a tour with Johnny Two Bags. That's
Oh
always a good
really?
thing. Yeah, that guy's one of my heroes, man. From the Cadillac Tramps all the way to U.S. Bombs, Social D.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that guy writes, I want to listen to.
We were talking about the U.S. bombs in the episode I recorded 2 days ago. We were talking about the U.S. bombs because Dwayne Peters. So
Yeah, I worry about Dwayne. I still follow him, but it seems like he's going through a very tough time right now, and I hope the best for him.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we
He's
were
gonna
talking
fit
about
into it.
him. We're talking about him and like Tony Alva, like those guys. It's just like, man, like these legends. And then but we all have problems in life, and sometimes it hits us differently. But
Right?
yeah, Dwayne Peters, man, it is. Yeah, worried about the guy.
I was actually
He's
watching. My wife and I were watching a video earlier. We were trying to figure out where he was at. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, he's what? Is he 70?
He's Dwayne.
Yeah.
He's got to be up here. I'm thinking mid 60s, probably at least.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you guys skate punks?
Yeah, I grew up around ramps.
Yeah.
Well, got our buddies since we were kids. They're skate punk guys.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they grew up out here with us too.
Yeah, there was a couple local good skaters that we had growing up here that brought all the big names out. They used to have big ramps up here and parties, and yeah, this town, the size of it, it had a lot of well-known skaters that came through here.
Hell yeah. That's, I got more into punk too, once getting into skateboarding and watching the skate videos, because the skate videos always had something. You're like, what's
Right.
that? And then you wait to the credits and you're like, write it down, and you go to the record store and be like, where's it at?
Right.
All
That's
right.
how
And
you
then you
find
get
all
it.
your skate videos, snowboard videos. That's how you find the next band, man.
Surf videos is how I found out about Agent Orange.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and nowadays I've watched skate videos. It's not the same, but but nowadays you don't need skate videos anymore. Now you're just like, you're on Spotify or something. You like this one band and you go down here, like you may like these bands. And you're like, oh, let me check out this band, but
Right. Yeah. They make it a lot easier nowadays.
yeah.
Sure.
I talk about it, our generation, you would have to either you would see what shirt the band member was wearing, and you'd be like, what's that? Or looking through the thank you notes, be like, who are they thanking? Or you buy a comp CD, comps were great back in the 90s.
Those are huge.
Yeah. But so, now with the band, what do you guys want to do with it? Is it just for fun?
Yeah, it's for fun, but we're just seeing where it goes. I mean, we have no problem traveling and playing, but it's a lot more. It's just for fun right now, and we'll see what happens.
Right. Yeah. Back in the early 90s or the late 90s, you were out there trying to be rock stars, and now it's whatever. And it makes it a lot more fun. It really does, because you don't really care what happens. So
Right.
Sure. I mean, you guys have careers, it's not like you're needing this to take off to make a living anymore. It's
right.
It's like some people go golf with their friends, or they go play pool on the weekends or bowl, and we play music,
Yeah,
And I hate
It is easier having our kids older now. I remember, my wife being at home with the kids a lot. We were playing quite a bit back in the 90s. I didn't realize until we ran into our old drummer, and he was showing me some lists. We were probably averaging about 6 to 8 shows a month, so we were doing a lot.
Hell yeah. Well, since you guys both have kids, are your kids into your band?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is our mine think that Dad's a big dork. To this day they call it your little band. They do that constantly. Oh, you're playing with your little band.
You know what I always say? I hate hearing is wait, you still play that kind of music? It's like, I hate that. It's like, oh, why? Once I turn a certain age, I gotta listen to Barry Manilow, or whatever, And don't get me wrong, I've listened to Barry Manilow myself too, but what I'm saying is just like, just because I'm older doesn't mean I got to stop listening to the music I listen to. I'm not my parents. Actually, my parents listen to the cool music.
Funny story I heard just the other day at the Fear Show. Actually, our buddy Art from Since We Were Kids was talking about how he was at a Slayer show, and Kerry King's kids are sitting on a couch right there by the stage, just off the stage, and they're making fun of him because they, to them, Dad's a dork too,
Yeah. But
and
guess
he's out
what?
there. Yeah, he's out there
That dork,
in one of the biggest bands ever.
yeah, that dork paid for that house you guys were living in. That
Exactly
dork,
right.
I mean, you still got bands like Slayer. You still got bands like Iron Maiden, Metallica, Megadeth, like these huge metal bands still fucking making a living off it, and their kids, look what they're, so, are you guys into metal?
Not really. I mean,
some of the older metal, I mean, the traditional stuff. I always liked, grew up with Motorhead and Iron Maiden and.
We're talking about them.
Oh, that's cool.
I've usually been a punk rock guy, but in the band that I was in before No Solution, our drummer was a huge metal guy, so there was no way around it. He's making everybody listen to Iron Maiden and all that stuff constantly. So I got to really appreciate it and start to like some of it, but unfortunately, I didn't keep up with a lot of it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Actually, next week or a week after next, I'm going to go see Metallica and Pantera and Suicidal. And so that's kind of cool.
I love Suicidal. And Pantera was probably one of the toughest shows I've ever been to, man. I wasn't ready for that level of mosh pit.
I saw Pantera open up for Skid Row in San Jose.
Wow. That's a weird mix.
It was it was right when like Vulgar Display was coming out and they took him out on the tour, and then flip flop a couple years later when Skid Row breaks up and Sebastian's on tour solo, Pantera takes him out on tour and he opens up for Pantera because Pantera was like the biggest fucking thing in the 90s,
Right.
Yeah. But, yeah, that's when I saw him. Like I said, it was a tough go. It was them and Typo Negative. It was a great show, but it was one where you don't it's like the ocean, man. You don't turn your back on that pit.
Yeah. But a lot of those bands in the 90s too, and even now, there are a lot of influences from them were punk rockers, punk rock music they grew up on, I mean, you look at Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses, he was a huge punk rocker,
Yeah. I saw them. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, my roommate one time, I wasn't doing nothing. I was living coast down Orange County, and he got his tickets, and it was Ugly Kid Joe, Motorhead, and Ozzy. And it was the first time I seen Motorhead, and talking about draining the energy. There was nothing left after they played.
Yeah, I bet.
Ozzy came around, and it was just everybody was just tired and worn out.
Well, let me always put on a fucking show. I never got to see Motorhead, but I did get to see Lemmy. They had that Lemmy documentary that came out a few years ago, or actually it's been probably about 10 or so years. And there's a scene in that documentary with him and Metallica, and that was actually shot in Nashville. And I'm up there watching the show, and they're like, "Hey, you guys might notice we got an extra cab over here. It might look familiar to you guys. We're going to bring up our good friend, Lemmy Kilmister." And Lemmy comes up, and I get to see the back of him because he's facing that way of the crowd. And they run through a couple Motorhead songs, and then he leaves. And I was like, well, technically I saw Motorhead because it's Lemmy. So, actually I didn't see Lemmy. I saw his ass. So, and I've heard stories about him and his ass from Scott Ian was telling a story that apparently they were touring together in the 90s. All the Anthrax guys are wearing like skater board shorts type things, past your knees. And Lemmy comes out of the hotel with fucking booty shorts, basically with his ass cheeks hanging out, making fun of their shorts, telling him that these were shorts and is in his cowboy boots. But who's going to tell Lemmy he's wrong, right?
Right.
And interesting enough, going back to Lemmy, a friend and I went to see Hawkwind, his previous band before Motorhead. They played in Ridgecrest.
Wow.
And we happened to meet Alan Davey, who was actually Lemmy's sidekick. They learned bass together. And it was really interesting seeing him. It's almost like Lemmy's soul was in him when he was playing. He had the white cowboy boots on. He had his microphone up higher like Lemmy sings it. And he actually moved to Ridgecrest. He lives here at the time. Yeah, I run into him once in a while. So it's kind of cool. Once in a while, I'll get asked some Motorhead questions. He always answers them for me. It's kind of like Motorhead 101. So it's kind of cool that he lives in our town. You just never know who you're going to run into.
it's kind of like when like people that lived in LA and they can go to the Rainbow at any time and run into fucking Lemmy playing the damn video poker and stuff. And
Yeah,
he's just
right.
like, I don't know. If you guys walked into the Rainbow and saw Lemmy sitting there smoking a cigarette, drinking a Jack, would you approach him?
I
That's a
bet
good
Brian
question.
would.
I mean, I know a lot of people are intimidated by him. He seems like a good guy.
Oh yeah. I
I
think
I think with somebody of Lemmy's caliber, I'm gonna try to act like I've been there before. You know what I mean, and just be cool.
yeah.
But it's hard not to. It's hard not to. How do you not? You know.
We say we would do one thing, and then when it actually happens, you're like, no, I'll be like, I'd probably just be like, hey,
Yeah,
nah,
it could have
probably
been a
not.
once in a lifetime thing. You know, you gotta at least say what's up, right?
Yeah, I do, man. I don't know. Now obviously he's no longer with us, but it's like, when you go to Nashville, so many people, all these musicians move to Nashville now, and you can run into people at the grocery store now, Jay Weinberg from Slipknot, now for Suicidal, you can run into him at the grocery store, and he's cool as shit, take a picture with you, and and go on your way. Dave Mustaine lives in Nashville, and Nikki Sixx and Vince Neil, and damn near all of Motley Crue lives in Nashville except for Tommy Lee. So
The one thing I realized going back to the Motorhead show, to me, Motorhead was almost like the fine line between metal and punk. I mean, when I remember being at the show, on the left side of me would be a bunch of bikers, and then on the right side would be some skinheads and punkers. So I mean, they kind of drew both worlds. I always thought that was interesting. They were kind of like the fine line band.
it's
Yep.
funny you said Ozzy, Motorhead, and Ugly Kid Joe.
Yeah, it was Ugly Kid Joe, Motorhead, and Ozzy. Kind of an interesting lineup.
Well, the singer Whitfield Crane from Ugly Kid Joe, he's a punk rock dude, and he did what he sang with Life of Agony. He did a project with he's done a bunch of different things, but yeah, I mean, it's that area of California. Everybody is raised on all genres of music and skate scene and all that kind of stuff. What were you about to say, Joe?
I was gonna say, when I was at the Punk Rock Museum, they had Lemmy's whole rig in there. His bass, his cabinet, everything.
Did it smell like cigarettes and Jack Daniels?
they had that one locked up behind glass. You don't get to touch it.
I bet. So I've not been there, and it's a bucket list thing to go do. But do they change like what's there in and out, like, or is it always the same memorabilia?
It's well, they have sections, right? But there are things that come and go. Like Lemmy's thing was only there, or his rig was only there for a little while.
Okay.
So things do change, but they do have like I guess the Pennywise garage, right? That is a replica of the garage that Pennywise practiced in as kids, and they have No Solutions, or not sorry, No Solutions. I was just reading it behind me. They have Social Distortion's Casbah studio there, which we are one of the few bands to ever get to go in there. That's not Social Distortion. That was a good time back in the day.
Oh.
And yeah, we got to record with them, and that was what, 95, 96?
Yep.
What did you record? Which album did you record there?
We recorded just a little EP in there. Yeah. But here's a funny story. You want a funny story? Our drummer Danny at the time, he put a little tiny seed from his weed that he was going through, and he put it in his flower bed. And within a month or two, that thing was like 10 feet tall, man. It was huge. And so when Dennis Donnell asked us to come into the studio, Danny brought some of it with him, and he got him and John Maurer so high that they could only get like 4 songs before they couldn't run the board anymore.
Right.
So it was a good time, but it wasn't everything we wanted it to be, just because they couldn't function.
I hear that.
Yeah, we didn't finish all the pre-production. They we called it quits pretty early.
Yeah.
That happened to me in the studio before too. I tried to lay down some bass tracks, man, and I didn't think I was going to lay down bass tracks that day because it wasn't my scheduled time, but everybody else got some shit done early. They're like, well, let's lay down some bass tracks. And I'm like, okay. I couldn't even get through the full. I was just, cause I just sat there. I was just smoking the whole time because what am I supposed to do? Just hang out, you know? But, you were talking about the Pennywise garage. I heard though that the actual carpet from the wall is actually from the garage.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think just about everything that they could
Is there
from that garage. I think the damn garage door is the same door. If I'm right, it's crazy.
And it's cool to see like just anybody jams in it. You know, I've seen so many different bands that jammed out in there before. You know, it's pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, yeah. They're starting to put on shows in the garage, and now you're a wrestling guy, right? They're doing wrestling shows outside in the parking lot.
Wow.
And having bands play at the same time.
Okay. Is that, I think I saw, oh, well, there's wrestling going on right now in Vegas because Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl weekend. It's WrestleMania weekend, but they had, I think I seen videos somewhere they were doing wrestling outside somewhere. And I don't know if it was there though, but, no, one of the bands I had interviewed, a few days back, they actually played in the garage. They got to play inside the garage. That's kind of cool. You know, I don't know how you get to play in there because I'm sure you can. It's because I'm sure the museum's open 7 days a week. So I'm sure you can. Yeah, I've seen Fred Armisen. He did an acoustic set there, and he was just doing like 80s like new wave songs and shit because that's what he does. You know, he's a pretty badass drummer. So tell me some show horror stories or some show legendary stories that you guys
I got
have.
a perfect one. I don't know if Brian's got one off the top of his head, but I got one that comes immediately.
I got one. Go ahead.
We were playing in Vegas at the Beach Club. It's no longer there. That place was awesome. But we were playing in Vegas. It was us and El Centro, Save Ferris, and Real Big Fish.
Oh.
And Real Big Fish were the headliners, and their singer he was hammered before the show even got going, and he got up there and he's singing with his beer in his hand and he starts pouring it into the monitors.
Oh shit!
And I was like, that's not cool. And the sound guy didn't think that was cool either, and he came up and he punched him. And I was like, well, he kind of deserved that. He did. It's not his equipment. He's in there ruining somebody's equipment. But no sooner was I saying he kind of deserved that than I see our manager running across the stage and punching the sound guy. And I was like, well, now and it was basically a riot at that point. We were all thrown out. It didn't end well, but it was a great show up until that.
It was sounds like a good show.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was until this giant Samoan security guard threw you out the door.
Yeah.
Which is the second time I've been thrown out of that club.
I was pissed drunk one night playing, and I was walking on this little ledge between the bar and like the dance floor area where the stage was, and I'm fucking just kicking pitchers of beers off the fucking ledge and shit, just being a fucking drunk jackass. And I'm sitting there playing, and then after we get done with our set, I go to our merch table, and this big country boy, he was probably like 6'8". All he was wearing was overalls and flip flops, and he says something to me, and I smarted off to him because I was just fucking dick. He picks me up by my fucking throat and choke slams me through my own fucking merch table. And I was just like, well, that didn't end well. I was like, I don't remember being in the choke. I remember getting picked up. I don't remember getting thrown through it. The next day, they tell me what happened. And I was like, I remember getting picked up. I just don't remember much after that because I didn't feel no pain.
It was a good choke. Yeah.
What do you got there, Brian?
Well, one time we were, it was a club, 13th floor in Huntington Harbor down in OC. And my brother, he's a big dude, and he's a pretty mellow guy, but he's got a temper and he's a strong dude. And a big mosh pit had broken out. And there's always that one a-hole that's wanting to stir up stuff. And we were watching him all night, and he threw an elbow into my brother, and I thought, oh no, something bad's going to happen. And so of course my brother throws him across the bar, and all the big guys in the yellow jackets run over, and I said, hey man, I'm sorry, I'll get him out here. And you know, they weren't mad at him at all. They wanted to hire him as the new bouncer. I never seen nothing like it.
We had this venue here in the town I live in. It's shut down now. It's still there, just because somebody was going to buy it, and they shut the people that rented it were like, okay, we got to get out, and it's still there, which sucks. It was a great club, but they had a all-female Black Sabbath tribute band play, and I went just for that because it's fucking Black Sabbath, great, and then females playing, even better, you know. So I go and check it out, and the bass player, she was gorgeous, and she's sitting there like waving at me and all this, and I'm like, oh, she's waving at me, but I was like, I was, you know, again, shit hammered. So I'm sitting there, and she goes to give me high five, and as I reach up, I get put in a chokehold and drugged to the floor, and these bouncers had their knee in my throat. Right, they're like these biker dudes, not knowing somebody took a picture of it. But anyway, before we get to the picture part, I'm like trying to get up, and they're just fucking manhandling me, like 3 or 4 dudes on top of me, and they're big dudes. They pick me up and throw me out of the venue, toss me out of the venue, and it's a gravel parking lot. And they throw me off the steps, and I land in the back of my head, not realizing anything was damaged or like I was injured. I walked 4 blocks to where my buddy was working, and he's like, hey, dude, what's all that blood on your back? I turn around, and he looks at my head. I got rocks in my fucking head, and then my head's like kind of split open and shit. And that night on their Facebook page, it might have been their MySpace page, but I'm gonna go with Facebook. It was a picture of me with their knee in my throat, and it says, when the bouncers tell you to stop, you stop. And I was like, they used me as their fucking.
You should save that and use it for your next album cover, man.
Well, here's the thing. We started going back to that venue on a regular basis, my band, and playing there all the time. We got kicked out of there. We had to apologize to get back in. We never apologized or anything. But I asked where that fucking picture was, and they're like, we don't know. Like once you've seen it, and I called up there, I was like, what the fuck? I had to leave a voicemail on there, or not a voicemail. I had to leave a message on their answering machine. And I was like, what the fuck, dudes? And they took it off, and it's never been seen again. But I wish I could have had that picture, because I would have used it for a shirt or something, you know.
Yeah.
Fucking all these dudes on top of me with their fucking knee in my throat. I'm just like, did I learn? No, because then we would play there, and then they would always play. Our band would always get bouncers put in front of the stage. So me being a jackass, instead of putting my foot on the monitor when I would be playing, I had to go over and put my foot on the back of their head or on their fucking shoulders, just stirring up fucking, you know, like a jackass. But you know what? It made for a good show. And then for us to get paid at the end of the night, we would have to apologize to the bouncer or the owners. We would just leave without getting paid, because even my singer was like, we're not apologizing for shit. You know, we're like, first off, you throw our friends out for moshing, because this club was a no mosh club or a no dance club. You know, it's just like, screw it. You know. Anywho, so are you guys writing new music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing some new songs right now, actually.
Okay.
Playing them live and just getting the feel of them, getting them all tuned up.
Hell yeah. I watched, you said live. I watched some of the live footage you guys have online and on YouTube and on Instagram. And I wish I could be at one of the shows, you know. You guys look like you guys just up there just loving life. You're having a good old time up there, you know. And that's what it's about. It's cool to see like us older heads up there still rocking out, because people think just because you're old, you don't rock. You can't fucking throw it down. But I like to prove them wrong.
Absolutely.
You know, Joe and I talk about that after practice sometimes. You get a good night's sleep after we jam hard. It's
oh yeah,
a lot tougher being older now.
Oh yeah, because you're not. Here's the thing: is when you were younger, you'd fucking play a show, and then you'd be partying until 7, 8 in the morning, and then go to work or whatnot. Now It's like, as soon as you guys get done, you're like, how many more bands is there? Fuck. All right. And as soon as that last band is done, you're at the
Our
house
last little
already.
road trip to San Jose wore me out for days. I mean, but
Yeah.
I'm working on my cardio a little bit.
Who'd you guys play with in San Jose?
Oh, a band called Mal. What was the other one, Joe? I can't remember the other one.
Mercury Mind.
Mercury Mine, right?
Do you know them?
Yes.
The San Jose guy?
I like those dudes. I heard some of their music.
Yeah, seem like good
I-
guys.
Yeah,
there is
Mercury Mind had a kind of a cool Black Sabbath sound to him.
Yeah, I don't know. What I do is I find so there's a band I interviewed that went up a couple weeks ago from there called Last Ditch Effort.
Right.
No, yeah, we know those guys.
Yeah, fucking super nice guy. And Jesse is he's always liking everybody's posts. He loves everybody's posts.
Yeah.
He's always on the net, which is great. He's hardworking. But I'll go to I'll see a show they play and I'll be like, what's this band? All right, let me check these guys out. So I can see what other music's out there. So I can if I want to contact these bands or whatnot, and but there's a lot.
We were hoping they would show up at the caravan, but they must have had something going on.
Yeah.
But it was good. And I was talking to him the other day about, I guess they got featured at the Punk Rock Museum, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, there's that contest going on. There's a contest going on where there was 12 rounds you voted for, and they made it to the 12 there's 12 bands and they're one of the bands.
Yeah.
So
we gave them our vote. We were trying to push them.
Yeah, I do the same thing, man. I really enjoyed their album. It's really good stuff. And I met him through this band out of Canada called Trash Ambulance. They're really good. They're really good stuff. There's a whole huge crazy ass punk scene in Canada, and it's huge.
Funny that you say that, because we were talking to that 99.9 Punk World, I think it is. There's a punk radio station in Canada that is possibly playing our music. I don't know. I don't get to hear it as often as I'd like, but
yeah, that's what music like radio. It's crazy how there's still a lot of radio stations out there still, and because I don't listen to the radio station at all. I either listen to a Spotify playlist or something, and it's crazy to see that there's so many radio stations that are still up there running strong. I eventually think I thought personally that they would be going away, but I don't know. I guess not.
Yeah. I've been listening to a lot of stuff on Bandcamp. That's a pretty cool thing to find new guys anyway.
And I feel too, a lot of bands are putting stuff on Bandcamp over Spotify these days, just because you do get paid better on Bandcamp. Well, you don't get paid if nobody donates, but
right.
I feel
you can also sell your merch and stuff on there.
Yeah. I feel it's more, got that more of a DIY feel to it still, my buddies, they just put their album up on there. They're called Curse Dealer, and they're kind of like a mix between, if Queens of the Stone Age and Clutch had a baby, that's what you would have. Kind of Macedon-y. They're from Atlanta, and they're friends with the Macedon dudes and shit. And, but they're really fucking good. And I met this kid. I call him a kid. We're kids still. I met this guy. I've known this kid since 7th grade, because he was an army brat, and we lived in Germany together. And we lost contact, and thanks to the internet, MySpace, we got in contact again, and we've been friends ever since. He printed all my band's merch over the years, but he's always been in bands. But he dropped this new project last Friday, and it's some good shit. It's some stoner rock, it's really good shit. So if you guys are into that kind of stuff, I'll send the link your way.
Yeah, please do. I always want to hear anybody new, man. I'm always looking for cool stuff.
Same thing. There's what are some of the newer bands out there that you guys are into that are local?
Right.
Well, they're kind of a mix from guys from older bands. Maybe someone like the Plagues out of San Diego, kind of a punk rock and roll kind of style that we like to play.
Okay.
But they're existing members, guys from I don't know if you know the Grabbers or band we used to play with a lot, the Pushers. It's kind of a genre of that circle of those same member guys.
There's a band from down in SoCal. They're called Empired. Have you heard of them yet?
I've heard the name.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the lead singer of Empire used to be in the hardcore band Outspoken.
Okay.
Okay.
You know that if
Yeah.
they were around in the 90s, he now sings in this band. He's the second singer and the bass player, and they're really good. They got a good sound to them. I really enjoyed them, and then I got introduced from them. I got introduced to Hartwells. They're pretty I guess pretty big around the area. They're super nice dudes, man. Really cool dudes. But Joe, what kind of bands? What local bands are you feeling?
Oh man, there's a lot. Like I said, I've been going through Bandcamp like every single day. So there's always somebody good. But I mean, they can be from anywhere from all over the world at that point.
Yeah.
But that's how I came across Last Ditch Effort and Empire. Or maybe that was through you. I'm not sure. But
I'm a whore on the internet. So I'm a whore on Instagram. Like all I do at work is cook food and fucking repost shit or post shit I like, because that's what I've always done. Even in my band, nobody in my band wanted to do shit. I was always the internet guy, which is cool. So every band has their people. One person does. I'll take care of getting the merch done, or I'll take care of booking shows, or I'll take care of promotion. I actually did all of it though, because nobody in my band wanted to do nothing. So I was booking shows, promoting shit, which is fine. I have fun doing it. So,
well, if Jay was here, I'm sure he'd say the same thing.
I love promoting other bands and showing their music out there, man. One person's better. One new listener is better than none. So,
yeah, we all got our roles like that. Like Brian will talk to anybody, and then Jay's the hands-on kind of dude, and I'm probably more of a computer geek, and Ryan's the tone guy. He's fiddling with everybody's amp all the time, and then we're just getting it done.
And now I'm sober, but I couldn't talk to nobody until I was drinking. It's like, that liquid courage, but
Right.
once I started drinking, I became the annoying drunk. And then they're like, God, get the fucking dude away from us, man. And I'd be like, I repeat the same question like 10 times in like 4 hours, like, dude, I know you've already told me this. And I'm like, but wait, there's more. And then it's the same exact thing again,
How many years you been sober now?
2 years I just hit sober. So
good for you.
Yeah,
I'm coming up on 12 years myself.
Hell yeah. It's congratulations on that. It's a whole new world I'm seeing. I feel great. I feel like I wish I was playing music now, because I never played a sober show in my life. So I'm sure that would be amazing. I actually right before I quit drinking, I quit the band, this other band I had been in. I started as one band and I left them and focused more on the band Taken Under I was in. And then I went back and joined the band Guerrilla Warfare I used to be in. But I left because just being around the drinking all the time, and I wasn't in a good place at the time, and I knew I needed to make a change. I just didn't know when. And like 3 months later, actually May 6th, I did it, and I went out on Cinco de Mayo, had a Modelo, and I looked around and was just looking at everybody, and I was like, I need to go home. And I went home and took a week off of work so I can kind of get through the detoxing a little bit, get out, and I've been enjoying it, man. And so it's a whole nother, it's a good vision. You can see clearly now, and so I enjoy it. But enough of that. So who came up with the name No Solution? What's the meaning behind that?
I think I actually did.
Yeah. Joe came up that we were throwing out names and we just didn't see anything that was, that we liked. And Joe kind of came up with that, and it just happened to be fit the deal.
Yeah. Like there's no solution to this problem. And then there it is.
But now that you guys had been gone for a little bit and you come back, there's other No Solutions out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem.
I find those have a lot of bands. I'll look up some of my old buddies' bands, and there'll be 5 other names of the same deal.
Mm-hmm. It's like I got confused with you guys for a second because I was like, I knew your logo because out of those other bands that are on Spotify, your logo is actually the punk band logo, the punk logo, and then you got like one's like a rock and roll band, and one's like I don't even know what the other one is, but it happened to me, my band. We were called Taken Under, and there's no other bands out there at the time that was called Taken Under. Well, this was on MySpace. This band in Atlanta starts up, and they call themselves Taken Under, and they put music up. But here's the thing: they stole our logos, they
Oh.
stole our shirt designs, and at this time on MySpace, we had like 24,000 followers. So I just put a little link up, like, hey. Get these dudes, man. And they all were like, oh, it's fucked up. This band is it. You're still into all their stuff. And that page was gone. They stopped. But I was like, that's ballsy. I could see the name, but still in the logos and all. And because, I made all their logos and shit. Like
that one doesn't even make any sense to me. Like, how they want to beat you, right? Like, that's not.
Yeah, I guess they must, looked up to it or something. I don't fucking know. I wouldn't want it to, Ben. But they were. They were come to find out after I put that message out and I found out they were a bunch of high school kids. So I'm like, well, they learned the hard way. Don't be fucking with some other band's shit, I do miss the MySpace days. Those were I don't know if you guys were involved or on the MySpace. Yeah. That was I think that was great for bands. That was really good for bands. And then I don't even remember when I stopped using it. It just one day, I don't even know what the hell I started using because I remember Facebook wasn't a thing for everybody. You had to be like in college to be on Facebook, and then it became like everybody's on there. And then Instagram wasn't for everybody yet. If you had a Android phone, you weren't an Instagram user yet because it was strictly an Apple based app.
Right.
And then once the Droids came in, it's like. Became a whole different marketing thing. I love social media. I think it's great. Like I said already, but but anyway, I
everything a lot easier.
Oh, for sure, and making it's easier to remember back in the day. You have to hope he picks up. Damn it!
Right.
What about that show in Santa Cruz? I don't know, man. He ain't picking up. I can't get him. I can't get to him. Now you're just like. You can hit 12 bands up in like 5 minutes from that same little area and somebody will get back to you,
It might have even been the era. You remember the pagers when you'd have to wait for someone to page you back?
Oh, yeah. It was really bad when I would try to buy weed or something and I would have to go to the payphone and page my dude. And then you had to wait by the payphone. Hey, I'm waiting for a call, man. Wait for a call. You had to wait there and shit. Yeah. I did have a pager. I had a pager and my friend, his parents had a cell phone, so he would take the cell phone out at nighttime after 8 o'clock for the free minutes and shit. I remember back in the day. He's like, hey, call me back. I only got a couple of minutes, man. They're free after 8. But yeah, those are old days. I was talking to the other day. Do you guys remember your first phone number?
Yeah, well, I do because it became my my father's business number. Now also my business number. So because
you still have it.
Yeah, so it's still around, it's still functioning. So I definitely remember it.
I think.
But
do you remember yours, Brian?
No, I don't actually.
And I remember mine, but I think some of the reason why we do remember them though is because when we were children, they would force feed you your phone number. They would force feed you your address. You had to know your phone number. You had to know your address. And this was like in kindergarten and first grade, excuse me. I work with a kid. He's a kid. He's 27 years old. Didn't know his address. He didn't know his address. Didn't know his phone number. Didn't know his mom's name until 5th grade.
Whoa.
And I'm like,
mom?
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, and I'm like, how do you not know your address? Like, what happens? You got on the wrong school bus. You don't know where you live, because like that happened to me. I knew where I lived though, but I got on the wrong school bus at like the first day of school. You're new. You don't know anybody. You don't remember what bus you're supposed to take. You're like, well, this one looks like the one I think it was. And then it takes me takes me out to the hood, and I'm like, well, fuck, this ain't where I live. You know, I was living in Salinas, California. I was living there, and it took me out to the hood. But luckily, there was a guy that was in one of my classes, and he lived there. He's like, hey man, come follow me. I'll get you back out to where you need to get back to the main street, and you can get to your house. So I was literally like 10 blocks from where I needed to be. But yeah, I knew my address though, but I couldn't call nobody because I didn't have a cell phone, and I didn't have any change in my pocket to go to a payphone to call anybody. Because my parents, they weren't home. You know, we growing up, parents were never home back in the day. You know, but anyway, different times.
Right. Yeah. I was telling my kids just the other day, I was asking them something about, their phone number. They were asking me what's my phone number there, because they didn't have their phone on them. And I was telling them, like, when we were kids, we had to memorize. Like, I knew everybody's phone number off the top of my head. And then they just go on with it. Oh, back in my day, and start acting like
are they called you a boomer yet?
Not yet. No.
I work with a bunch of young kids. Like, that's the oldest one I work with. I work in a place called the Tilted Kilt. It's like a Hooter style restaurant.
Down in Anaheim, yeah.
Okay. Well, and these girls are between the ages of 18 and like 21. So they're young. And they're like, all right, boomer. And I'm like, first off, I fucking hate that word, but it's like, whatever. I'm probably the coolest fucking boomer you'll know. Because they're always like, they always tell me about their parents and shit. And I'm just like, man, your parents are not cool. Like, it's like, I'm like, first I'm like, how old are your parents? And then they show me what their parents look like. And I'm like, your parents look like the parents used to look back in the 80s. Like when we would be kids and we would see people our age and we're like, damn, they're old. And then now look at us at our age. We don't look like those guys and those people, and we look a lot younger. I saw something about Steve Martin. He was playing in Parenthood. He was 41 years old in that movie. And I'm like, dude, he looked like he was 61 years old. Huh?
Archie Bunker was 48. I'm 48. I don't feel like I look like Archie Bunker.
You're right.
Like,
and George Jefferson, he was bald and had with his big little afro on the side, and he was 36.
Right.
And I'm just like, man,
it's wild to think about.
And they say it's the things in the food. Well, whatever's in the food makes us look good,
Brian's birthday's in 2 days, right, Brian?
Yep.
You'll be 55?
I'll be 56. I'm getting up there.
Oh man. Hey, my old guitar player in my band, I just found this out recently. I never knew he was as old as he was. I'm not saying it's old because I'm only 6 years different, but he's 57 now. But when he was in the band, he was in his 40s, and we're all like in our early 30s. I never knew he was that much older than us, but
right.
He shredded and ripped though, and but now he works at Panera, and he can't stand working with these younger folks. I'm like, now you sound like an old person, But no, I don't care.
He was the Mick Mars of your Motley Crue, huh?
Hey, there you go. That's a good way to look at it.
Joe and I when we went and saw Fear, it was mind blowing. I wasn't sure, and he's pretty stiff by the looks of it, but we were blown away how good Lee Ving from Fear still has his vocals. It was really amazing.
Is he the only original member?
I believe so.
Yeah. There's no way. Everybody else in that band is far too young. Well, I don't know. The drummer looked like it might have been.
It might be. I'm not sure.
But
seeing a guy belting out those vocals at 75 was just mind blowing.
Right? He kind of shuffled out to that microphone, but he rocked it once he got there.
Well, I was about to say, look at Ozzy, but he can't do that anymore because he can't even walk. But back in the day when Ozzy would get up there, he would basically shove and he was like, but then when he gets on that microphone, he's just like, he can sing, he's moving, but music, it does something to you, man. It does keep you young.
Yeah, like what was it, September? I went and watched the Rolling Stones, man, and that was insane. Yeah. Each one of those dudes is 80 years old, and I was at the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, and they had this big runner coming off the stage, out to what would be midfield, like the 50-yard line from the end zone, pretty much.
And Mick's running.
Mick Jagger danced his old ass
Yeah.
all the way down the end of that thing and then sprinted back. And he did do dance for like 3 hours.
I read somewhere where he does like for 6 months before a tour, he works on cardio.
Well, it pays off, man. I'll tell you that. Watching him go.
I was never really a Stones fan. I appreciate them, but I would like to see them at least one time. Which I don't think. I think they finally did. This is their farewell tour, I think, or something.
Everybody
I don't know. Everyone said Kiss has done more farewell tours than anybody. You know,
Yeah, right.
And they're performing. They're performing like this month or next month in Vegas for like the Kiss Army 50th anniversary or something from the Kiss Army started.
Yeah.
I saw the Who on their 50th tour, and I'm gonna tell you now, they tore it up. They tore it up.
Yeah. Same thing with the Stones. If you get a chance, do it, man. They were great.
What's a band that you had? I'm gonna start with you, Brian. What's a band that you had seen, no matter what genre of music, that you saw that you were surprised of how much energy they had on stage?
Well, I mean, they're a hardcore band. The band that really blew me away, my wife and I still talk about. We went to the Punk Invasion years ago, and then GBH really caught me off guard. I mean, I knew they were strong, but they were just mind blowing. The energy they put off.
Are they still putting out music?
Yes.
Yeah. It's so crazy to see these bands that have
But
been around.
A band that Joe and I like, I'd have to say energy wise for a big guy would have to be Gabby that passed away from the Tramps. Just amazing front man. I don't know where he got his energy. Just amazing.
He was, that guy was probably one of the greatest frontmen of all time, man. That guy was so good at what he did. Are you a Cadillac Tramps fan at all, or?
I'm familiar with their music. I really never did a lot, but I mean, I know who they are. I might do a deep dive on them this weekend.
You need to.
Yeah.
Get onto YouTube and watch some of the old videos of Gabby working a crowd, man. He was so good at it. So good. Like nobody can do that. Matter of fact, at the Punk Rock Museum, they have a metal area and like a death metal area. And we went in there and Johnny was telling everybody, he was, pointing out different bands. And he's like, I don't know much about these bands. I'm not a metal guy. He's like, but we played with this one. I don't know who it was. They had their name written up there. And he said, we played with these guys. And he goes, it was a show where the Cadillac Tramps did not belong. That's for sure. And he said, but Gabby worked his magic. And he's like, we had all those long hairs just eaten out of our hand by the time we were done, man. Gabby was unlike anybody else. I really miss that guy.
Brian, you had said something earlier about, the Sex Pistols. Did you ever get to see the Sex Pistols in the 90s when they did their comeback tour?
Yeah, I stayed for them at the Punk Invasion.
I got to see them in Memphis, and it was 96. And I tell everybody this story. Like, yeah, I saw the Sex Pistols in 96. They're like, oh, but it wasn't the original lineup. And I was like, yeah, yes, it was. They're like, how's that possible? Sid Vicious is dead. I'm like, because he wasn't an original member. But they tore it up, man.
But Steve Jones played the bass on the Sex Pistols record anyway, so he was there for more of that charisma, the looks.
Oh, I saw a video recently. It's an old circulated video from years back. I think 2012 maybe, or where Johnny Rotten and Marky Ramones get into it, and Marky Ramones goes, that's why the only person in the band was that anyone he liked was Sid Vicious, because he's the only one that had energy and had I forgot what he said, but and then Johnny goes up and that's what he said. He said Sid Vicious was the only punk in the band. That's what he said. But he didn't play. He just got beat up and slapped a couple strings out, and he's eye candy. It worked for him. I like the Sex Pistols.
I was gonna say I love Marky and I respect him, but Steve Jones is
Oh, dude, and he's still ripped. He's still ripped.
Yeah. Right. He's got some of the baddest guitar tones around too.
I always say, people always get at me because I say I'm a I'm a Pistols guy over the Ramones, but I mean, I appreciate both of them, but I'm just more of a Sex Pistols kind of guy, you know. What they did for such a short period of time with one album is incredible, you know. And then to see when they came to the States, I think they played 12 dates, and one with the first show or the second show is canceled. Then they get to Oklahoma and they get beat the fuck down. That show didn't really happen. And then I think when they got to San Francisco, the tour manager who's like, I can't do this anymore, and they just had to cancel the rest of the tour. But I've never met anybody that I know like older that were at any of those shows, which it would be cool to see what those shows would have been like, you know.
Yeah.
What's a bucket list band that you guys have not seen that you are still able to see?
Ooh, that's a good one. You got one, Brian?
For me, probably a band like the UK Subs. I haven't had a chance to check them out yet. I've always missed them.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought mine was gonna be Guns N' Roses, but I got to see them.
Which
like
which oh, that's the bad version.
Well,
I saw them like
it wasn't
the
that
music's
bad. It
great.
was good, and then
Music's great.
even Duff sang a Stooges song, so that was fun. I had a great time at that show.
I saw them. What tour is it? I saw them in 2015, and because I got the 2017 poster, I always go by that one. I saw them too. I saw them in 2015, and it was really good. Steven Adler came out and did a song with them, you know, and Chris Stapleton opened up for him, which was really weird.
That's a weird mix. Chris Stapleton's a badass too.
Oh, he threw it down, and he said, if you would have told 15-year-old me that I'd be opening up for Guns N' Roses now, I would have told you you're full of shit. But then Guns N' Roses played here 2 years ago. They played here 3 times since 2015. Well, I guess in the last 10 years they played here 3 times. The last time they played here, Carrie Underwood opened up the show.
It's another wild mix. I don't know that I'd put there, but
it's because I think
I'd drink that girl's bathwater so she could do whatever she wants.
She comes out with everybody though. She sings a bunch of rock stuff all the time. I mean, I saw a thing recently somewhere she was up. She did she sang with Papa Roach in Vegas and stuff. So but but like the Guns N' Roses thing is they were just picking certain people from certain cities that are from there to open up their shows and some of things. Like who opened up when you saw them?
Eddie Van Halen's kid, Wolfgang. What's that? Wolf EVH Mammoth, I think it is.
Mammoth,
I can't.
It's Mammoth.
Wolfgang. Yeah, his initials and then Mammoth.
It's good. I like this. He
was good. He's a chip off the old block, man. Everyone's
like, oh, he's only famous because of his dad. No, the kid can fucking play, dude. He fucking rips.
Super play. Yeah.
Your dad's Eddie and your uncle is fucking Alex, dude. You're fucking
it's in the blood. Yeah, man.
Well, I got a couple of questions I ask everybody. I'm going to ask you guys. I'll ask you separately. Well, you guys can ask together. What is your favorite city or town to play?
Brian?
Good question. Maybe Joe could answer that first.
Well, let's see. I always had a lot of fun in whenever we would do like Anaheim and stuff, just because that was home. Like the Doll Hut would be full or crazy, but I think one of the ones I had
I would say maybe
I was gonna say Las Vegas. It's probably where I had the most fun.
Vegas was fun, and like the Tiki Bar, Costa Mesa, probably the Orange County shows, Huntington Beach.
Yeah, Huntington. That one we played for the LBZ guys back in the day. So that was a super fun show.
Have any of your shows that you're sitting there performing, you look out and you're like, oh shit, I didn't expect to see that guy at the show. Like somebody from a band that you guys listen to?
Yeah, a band that was they kind of they struck bad luck. They were upcoming and they were going to be one of the Epitap's biggest bands. We were playing a show in Long Beach at the Foothill, and I just got turned on to this band, the Humpers, and the lead guitarist happened to be there, and he was clapping for us, and we ended up giving him a ride home. He was pretty hammered, and we became friends after. So, pretty cool story. I mean, it might have been only one guy clapping, but it was the guy that we wanted to be there. So, kind of a cool story.
I need to start writing these damn bands down. The Humpers, okay.
If you haven't heard the Humpers, you're gonna you do yourself a favor.
I'm gonna be humping, huh? What are okay? If No Solution can do a summer on Warped Tour or a summer with your favorite band, which would you choose?
I'm gonna go with Warped Tour just because more eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably say Warped Tour too.
And that's the right answer, but it would be. I always say it's my favorite band on Warped Tour.
It's a trick question.
Right.
Yeah, it's a trick question, you know. Brian, what would your dream lineup be for No Solution?
As far as what?
As a gig.
Well, probably like, just the bands we were inspired by, Cadillac Tramps and Social D and Bad Religion and those kind of bands. The Damned and just a lot of the big influences.
I think Bad Religion gets mentioned on this podcast, I think, every episode. And they should.
They're the greatest punk rock band that's ever been, in my opinion.
Man.
They
make me look up the words they say because I don't know what the fuck they're saying.
Right.
I'm like,
I've
that word?
I've hit the dictionary more than once trying to figure out what Greg is talking about.
A buddy of mine went to Milwaukee. Wait, where is that? Minnesota. Yeah, he went to Minnesota. And wait, where's he from? The singer. Where's he from?
Wisconsin.
There we go. He went to go take his daughter to her grandparents' house. And just so happened he looked to see if there's any shows, and that night Bad Religion was playing. He was like, holy shit,
in Wisconsin,
I have to go. Yeah. So he went. He said it was the first time he ever got to he's never seen Bad Religion ever, and he finally got to see them 5 years ago there. And he said it was a great show. And I'm like, hell yeah, Joe, same thing with you as far as like your lineup.
Brian said it exactly. I would. The exact same three. I could add a few more, but those are the top three I want to be with.
Yeah, Did you guys?
Go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'll just say I saw these older. I like a lot of the older punk bands because they just have this, especially because a lot of them are still going. They have like I got to see the Circle Jerks recently. It was Circle Jerks, Circle Jerks, Adolescents, and Descendants, and it was
that sounds
phenomenal.
Like a great lineup too.
It was amazing.
I have a quick funny Keith Morris story. I was watching the Circle Jerks with a friend of mine who was the singer of the other band I was with at the time, and it happened to be Keith's birthday, and so they brought him up a hot dog with a candle in it, and the whole we all sang him happy birthday. The whole crowd sang him happy birthday, and he's like, "This is really great." He goes, "But the only problem is I don't eat meat," and he's like, "You guys have," and he threw it in the crowd, and my buddy Matt was standing next to me, and he was looking at this girl who was nearby. He'd been eyeballing her all night long. And he didn't see the hot dog coming, and that thing hit him right in the chest, just mustard all over his shirt. And he's, now he's super embarrassed in front of the girl he was trying to say to.
Oh,
it was one of the best shots ever of all time.
So he got literally cock blocked by Keith Morris.
By Keith Morris, who else can say it?
It's kind of because he goes up on stage with his little backpack. Goes up there, takes it down. I don't ever know what's in there because he never opens it. I guess he just always makes sure he has his shit with him. And once they start, he doesn't stop. It's cool it makes you want to keep going too, because you see him up there doing that. And then you got like the Adolescents. You look at them and you're like, wow, this band all those bands, like you look at them, like they could come out today and still be something, you know.
Yeah.
And then of course, the Descendants. I mean, I think they're ahead of their time.
Big
Um,
time.
Well,
you
those
know,
guys
Yeah,
are
we
great.
just did a show, Marietta, not long ago with Doss Clown and Frank Agnew Jr., which is Frank from the Adolescents' son. Was he sings for the Adolescents, which is like the original Adolescents, but they without Tony, and they're
okay.
amazing. If you ever get a chance, you have to check them out. They
Fuck
do a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
and he plays guitar for Doss Clown now too.
Yeah.
Wow. I just, I like seeing these bands that I couldn't see back when I was younger, and I get to see them now, and I'm not disappointed. Not disappointed at all. They still hold their own. I never went and saw any of the reincarnations in 2000 of Black Flag at all. I would love to have seen the Mike V's Black Flag, when he was singing with them, because he's not singing with them anymore. Um, I don't know if did you ever hear of Mike V's band, Mike V and the Rats?
I've heard the name. I haven't checked him out.
Yeah,
Did
I mean
Mike
they
just
sound,
recently? Did Mike just
huh?
recently leave Black Flag? Because I know he just recently he was playing with them. Was it just a
Yeah,
recent? Oh,
he just left them, and he got the Rats back together, and they're on tour with Aquabats, Coffin Cats, and Mike V and the Rats. So it's the
I like
Bats,
the
the
Coffin
Cats, and
Cats.
the
We almost
Rats.
just did a show with them. Not
With who?
the Coffin Cats. We were
Wow,
we
hell,
were supposed to play a gig with them.
oh, that would have been
Yeah.
cool. They're rocking,
Yeah, you
man.
mentioned Agent Orange earlier too. I think we got one coming up with them soon.
Yep.
Really?
I'd say soon,
Wow.
sometime this summer.
June 12th, we'll be playing with them.
They're in Nashville. I think maybe November. I could be wrong. It was recent. It was current, and I didn't know about it because I didn't see anyone promoting it. Like the venue didn't promote it really well. And the only reason I knew about it, my buddy was there, him and his fiance, and I said, when was this? He goes, tonight. And I'm like, what the fuck? Agent Orange. And that's a band I've never gotten to see, and I would love to see them because they still sound so damn good,
Oh, they sound great. Yeah.
Yeah. Another band that we've been mentioning a few different times, Social D, man. They just Mike Ness he's like fine wine. He gets better with age.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad he was able to pull through his cancer battle. That's scary.
Because he would have not been able to sing at all, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess so. It was like tonsil cancer or something like that.
It seems like a lot of that, unfortunately goes on. Another good singer that Joe and I really enjoy is Eddie Spaghetti from the Super Suckers had throat cancer too and was able to pull through and get his voice back.
Yeah, luckily.
I hear a lot of people getting throat cancer more and more these days, and some of them that get it don't even smoke or anything like that. It's just like it's crazy how people just get it. It's sad, it's crazy, but a lot of them get over it. So that's good. That's good to hear.
And then I was talking to a friend of ours, Krabby from the singer of El Centro. He was talking about he's had issues with singers getting polyps in the throat from maybe even singing wrong, so it's kind of scary sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, that I could see that. Yeah, that's your voice is your everything when you're a singer, especially. So Brian, you're a you write lyrics. Oh yeah,
Right.
real quick before I get to this question. Do you guys write? Do you write all the lyrics, Brian, or do you like say Joe has an idea for a song? Do you guys like kind of work together, or is it strictly just you writing the lyrics?
Well, I have recently, but lately we've been collaborating on putting new stuff together. We usually come up with
he's way better at here. I might be able to come up with a rhythm every now and then, but he's got a magic way of hearing how the vocals should fit in that it's a talent I've never really had. I will admit that right now.
Do you have a notebook full of lyrics, Brian, or do you like hear the song and then you like write with the song?
Yeah, I'll be out working or something will come up, like I'll hear someone say something and I'll have an idea. And lucky with my phone, a lot of times I can capture a rhythm, and then I'll get together with Joe or something and we collaborate on it. And then I'll have some topics I like to pick up on. And then when I listen to it more, when I find the right one, that's usually when I find the chorus and what I'm going to write about.
It's for me, like I have a bunch of stuff like from when I was a kid till now, just like written stuff, and and I get inspiration. Like I'll be listening to a song by a band, and there'll be a part where there's no lyrics, and I'll be like, that little melody will get to me. So I'll write it down and then forget about it for a while because I don't want to keep that tempo in my head. And then I'll go back and look at it, and then I'll be like, I'll come up with a whole nother, rhythm for it. But I've been looking back at some of my old things I had written back in like the 90s, and I was like, God, I was a fucked up individual. Like, what the fuck was I writing about, man? I was like, the things I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna, and it's fake. That's the thing. It's fake shit that I'm writing about because it's nothing I would do, but it's where my mind was at that time. I was an evil little fucking kid, but hey,
Yeah, like even
whatever.
now, like the newer stuff working, I'm kind of trying to have more of a positive outlook. I looked back at some of my old songs and thought, man, I'm a
Yeah.
heavy good dude.
Do you change like the older songs? Do you change any of the lyrics, like any words or anything
On the older
now? Or
ones,
yeah,
I think like with the new band, it's we're definitely changing like better backups, and yeah, I think the dynamics, everything's a lot better now. I
yeah.
plan on going back and recording all the stuff over this new band. It's really sounding
Y-
good, so I'm happy with it.
I like, it's funny. You listen to Misfits, like their live shows now compared to stuff in the 80s, and you're like, it's because they're more, you're older, you're more experienced with what you're doing, you're playing guitar or your drums or whatever. And it's a whole nother, it sounds so much better now. That's something too. What do you think about these bands like the Misfits? Like the Misfits were, people knew the Misfits, but they weren't selling out Madison Square Garden. They weren't
Right.
selling out the Staples Center or whatever, the Forum. But it's like, holy shit, they went from selling $5 tickets, now their tickets are $100, and everybody is like, was going to these shows. It's crazy how like they took a, well, they took a break, but then Jerry comes back with Michael Graves, which I'm not a Graves fan, but it's to get that original lineup back, it's like, oh shit, like they're bigger than they ever were now. What do you feel about that kind of thing when bands do that?
Yeah. Well, here's a perfect example. Like even with TSOL, Joe and I, we like both versions. I'm a big Jack Grisham fan, but I don't know that you might relate to this if you're familiar with Joe Wood singing. It was more of a metal feel for TSOL, and
Yeah.
he's out playing again. So we'd love to play with both genres of that. I mean, with Jack Grisham and Joe, it's just two different deals, but both incredible. Joe Wood to me is always I compare him to almost like a Jim Morrison. His lyrics are incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
when I hear him, I get so influenced. He's just a great songwriter.
Absolutely.
That's the first time. I'm a huge Jim Morrison guy, and that's the first time he's ever been mentioned on all 50 episodes. He's the first time he's ever
Really?
been mentioned on here. Yeah. Jim's
Yeah,
a great.
I love the Doors. I haven't listened to them in a while, but once in a while I'll get on a Doors kick. I've always been amazed by them. You just never
That
know. So where we live, there's a little town called Wolford Heights, and what do you think the population is, Joe? You go up there sometimes.
Oh
What's
man, I think it's literally like I think like 1,200 people.
so? Anyways,
wow.
what I'm getting at is Ray Manzarek's family owned the Wolford Heights liquor store. So you just never know in a small town. The Manzareks were up there and for a long time.
Hell yeah. I told myself this year I was going to listen to more Doors this year, and I have. I made sure of it, because when I was in high school, the Doors was what, like, Jim's lyrics got me through high school. Like, when I was just like feeling a certain kind of way, I just put the Doors on, man, and it just mellowed you out and just chill. I would read I got plenty. I got plenty of Doors books and Jim Morrison poetry books. I would just sit there, listen to the Doors and read and shit. And I did my final exit research paper for English class on Jim Morrison.
Oh,
And but I just found on Instagram the official Jim Morrison Instagram page. It's not run by him though.
You don't say.
It's crazy too about his dad, man. His dad was like a big time dude in like the military.
yeah, he was an admiral,
Yeah.
I believe,
Yeah.
right?
And he just passed away within like the last 5 or 10 years, which
Hmm.
is crazy.
Really?
Is Jim Morrison alive, or is he dead?
Who's
Is
that?
he? Is
Like
he?
Elvis?
Is Jim Morrison alive or is he dead? Is he
Did he
hiding
fake his
somewhere?
own death?
Yeah, I know. There's
I
always
think he's
that-
dead.
that-
I'm
the
going
one
with
he's
dead.
dead. Yeah, he's dead.
smiling.
Elvis too,
across-
unfortunately.
Yeah. The town I live in, Clarksville. It's not a town. It's the 5th largest city in Tennessee. But still has the town feel to me because when I moved here, there was like 80,000 people. Now there's 200,000 people here. So, and that was in a 30-year span. But Jimi Hendrix was stationed here. And he bought one of his first guitars in here, and there's a receipt on the wall. And he would go down to Nashville and play with a bunch of like the R&B and soul bands coming up. Like it wasn't the Temptations, but it was like people like that he would jam with down on Music Row and stuff. And there's a overpass where you can go by, and underneath that overpass where he used to live when he got out of the military, he moved to Nashville. He would live in this apartment underneath this overpass. So there's that. But what I was gonna get at with the songwriting, Brian, is as your current stuff that you have out there, what's your favorite song that you've written for No Solution?
like recent ones, you mean, or like
Yeah.
newer ones?
Yeah.
There's probably a newer one. It's a little heavier. Hollow.
Okay.
A song called Hollow.
What's that about?
Just people getting caught up in greed and the emptiness it brings. Like morals go crappy over. You're getting thrown under the bus for money, that type of thing.
Yeah. And what would be what's your favorite song that you wish you would have wrote?
Ooh,
That's a good one.
Joe, you can even answer that if you want for yourself too,
Oh man, I mean, there's so many that you hear and you're like, I should have written that one.
Every time I ask this question, I change it up. Every time I hear this question, I always come up with another answer. And today I'm going to say Broham by Pennywise.
Well, if we're doing that, then I want, a stadium anthem like We Will Rock You or something.
I mean, there is so many fucking stadium anthems out there,
Right, yeah. Crazy Train.
Oh, dude, that's a ripper.
Hell's Bells. I can go on.
For those about to rock. For those about to rock is a banger. So I saw a video earlier this year of or last year when at the Padres game, and Tom DeLonge's behind home plate and they're playing Blink, and he's just like, he's with his kids, and he's just like, and the people around him probably, they probably don't know who he is, who's there, and he's just like, man. I'm like, dude, be happy that they're playing your song at a fucking baseball party and people are singing. I'd be ecstatic,
right.
That's what you do it for,
If only something like that would get old, right? I can't even imagine that.
Darn. Yeah. I mean, I think the only thing that I would ever get annoyed with is being in that situation as a celebrity is going out to eat.
Right.
That probably, because there's a time, like, I don't care if you want to come up to me after we eat, but if I'm sitting there eating with my family, don't come up to me. That's my time,
Right.
It's like, and I get this argument almost weekly with this kid at work. He's like, but that's what they signed up for. No, they didn't sign up for eating dinner and having fucking people flock them, I mean, do they do that to Taylor Swift? Probably not, but
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean. I was in the airport. I was in LAX, and I was going through TSA, and as I was going through the line, Trey Parker, who wrote South Park and all that, the writer, he's right there with me, right? So we're constantly like side by side as we're going through this big line. And I immediately know who he is because I also write screenplays, right? So I'm immediately like, that's Trey Parker. That dude's a hero. And I tell my wife, like, it's Trey Parker. She's like, say hello. And I can see that his wife knows that I know who he is, right? And she's giving me the please don't eyes, like, come on, be cool, don't. And so I didn't. And my wife was like, say something. I'm like, I'm not, no. I can see in her eyes that she just wants to get through TSA with their kids and be left alone. And so I did, but every part of me was screaming, talk to him. But I did not. I let him go.
My buddy lives in Denver, and they have that restaurant that South Park dude's got that restaurant there, and it was like you had to get on a Casa. What's it called?
Casa Bonita.
Yeah, and you got to be on a waiting list to get on there, right? And so I registered to get in there, like 5 different email accounts, right? I got to get in. I want to go in there because he said it's not that great, but it's the experience, you know. They got the high divers inside there, and they got all this stuff going on, right? They mariachi bands or whatever. They give you you have 3 different menus you can pick from, but if you're a vegetarian, they have a different menu for you. And but he's been several different times, and every time I went there, I never got on the never got a notification. But every time I come home, I get the notification. Oh, hey, you got these dates that you can pick from to come eat. And I'm like, I'm not there now because but it would be cool concept just to go check it out, because isn't that restaurant in there in some of their episodes?
Yeah.
Because it was basically a failing restaurant, and they went ahead and took it over and made and reopened it and now it's what it is, and it's like a one price you pay for the meal. It's and then you don't tip the servers, you don't tip the bartenders, they make hourly wages. It's pretty, but yeah, I got pictures in front of it though, it's because I from he used to teach at the school, or he was like one of the deans of the school behind it. It was like an art school. And I was like, what's that pink building over there? He's like, well, you don't know what that is? We're going to go over there. And he told me about it on the way there. And I was like, oh, fuck. Okay, cool. And he's like, yeah, we can't eat. We can't go in there and eat. It's like a lottery system. You got to get like a register and stuff. I'm like, well, fuck.
Pretty wild.
Yeah. Well, guys, we've been talking for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you guys want to plug or mention?
Brian, you got anything?
Not really. I mean, hopefully we're going to be playing a lot more shows, and eventually start working on a new record to, come out.
Yeah. And in the meantime, if you want to keep up with shows or find us, we can go on Instagram. It's @NoSolution_punk on Instagram. And same thing on YouTube if you want to watch videos.
Is it punk with a K or punk with an X?
With a K.
Okay. Cool. Well, gentlemen, I've enjoyed this time just shooting the shit and talking about things. I'm looking forward to hearing some new stuff from you guys. Like I said, what you guys have up is really good, really catchy stuff. I will find myself humming this riff, and then I'll be like, what is that from? And then I'll go back and listen to it. I'm like, oh, it's this song. But I do notice it does pop up now on, like, if I'm listening to a band that I'm about to interview or something, and I'll just listen to one song, and then I guess just because of my algorithm of music on Spotify, your stuff will pop up in that rotation too. So
good. Awesome.
I just started a playlist on Spotify where I add a song from each band that I interview. Would you like to recommend a song to put on it?
One of my favorites that comes off that album that it doesn't get a lot of play for some reason, but one of my favorites is CIA.
Okay. What about you, Brian?
Probably Bombs Away. It's always one I enjoy.
That's a good one. That one's good. They're all good. Bombs Away. Because I got 2 guys on here. I'll put 2 songs on. If there was 3 of y'all, I would have gave you 3 songs.
Oh well, I can tell you already. If Jay was here, his would be The Line.
The Line.
The Line. Yeah. And see some of the new ones that are coming out, I think you're gonna really enjoy. They got a little spicier feel to them, I feel like.
A spicy, huh? All right.
Yeah.
Like Selma Hayek kind of spicy.
Well, no, I mean, now we got Ryan playing. Well, she's super spicy, but we got Ryan Lilly is our other guitar player, and he's we're trading leads and doing stuff, and he's bringing some good stuff. So
I do want to ask you guys this, okay? Because like when I heard Jay's name, I heard Jay Phillips. I was like, this isn't DJ Phillips, is it? Like I was thinking like the skater Jay Phillips, and it's not. And then I was like, okay, yeah. And then all right, so Joe, is your real last name Lint?
it really is, yeah.
I mean, that's pretty fucking punk right there, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I figure. Yeah, when I see old what's his name, Armstrong's guitar, it's got my name on it.
Yeah. What about you? And Brian, that is your government name too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The band I was in, this band taken under my drummer's name, his last name was Payne, and my singer's last name was Slaughter, real life. And I'm like, dude, you guys, they've been jamming together since like 89, since like high school days. I was like, dude, you guys should have been like Payne and Slaughter or Slaughter and Payne and shit.
Yeah,
but
it's a no-brainer.
The worst part is the singer's name is Mark Slaughter. So he got Mark Slaughter from the band Slaughter, moved to Nashville, and he was living in Nashville at the time. He would get phone calls because they thought he was the Mark Slaughter. So one year on his birthday, I took his MySpace page and changed it all to Mark Slaughter from Slaughter on there. Yeah. So
hey,
all right,
Jim. Going back to the question, I thought about it. A song that's always stuck with me, and we've done a cover in the past. I would have to say the song that I would want to pick would be the Sonic Reducer by the Dead Boys. It's always been it's one of my favorites.
I've heard so many fucking amazing covers of that song. It's a fun song. If it was done right, I mean, it's a crowd. I mean, it doesn't have to be done right. It's just that chorus is just a crowd favorite. It's
one cool story my wife remembers, and I was not planning it. We played it at a club in Huntington Beach, and Mike Ness's brother Troy was there, and Casey Royer jumped up, and I let him take the mic and just sing it. I was planning on singing, but I let Casey do the whole thing. I wish I would have recorded it. It was a cool moment.
That's another thing about nowadays. We have so many more memories that we can have because we have cell phones, and people back in the day, you're like, fuck, dude, that show would have been great to have. And because it was harder to get somebody to come to your show and take pictures. It was hard to get people to come to your show and record it. Especially in the 90s when people had the big fucking cameras, like the big old tanks and shit, and now everything's right here.
We're going right now. We're getting good footage, but we're working out the ends with the GoPros and stuff.
Oh yeah.
We'll get it.
This one venue that we played all the time, my bass player, because this is a band I was singing for, my bass player put GoPro mounts on the stage because we would play there all the time. So why not just put them there? So they would use them. But then I think it was Cottonmouth Kings played there or something like that, and they were just like, they were really excited, they said, because there was GoPro mounts up on the stage and they were just able to get footage and stuff. It was pretty cool. Isn't Cottonmouth Kings is from your guys' area, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I believe we might have even done a show with them. They've been around for a while.
Oh yeah. Like I said, there's a lot of good music that comes out of there, no matter what genre you can think of, and I think even too, back in the early days, a lot of bands, I miss mixed genre shows. I really love mixed genre shows because they're fun, man. It's like not that a normal, I just like to have like a variety of music, metal bands, hardcore bands, punk bands, hell, I'll even play with a cover band. I don't give a shit because
we were fortunate. We played a lot of. It was a pretty known club in Orange County. It was Club Mesa, and there was a lot of amazing touring bands that we got to share the stage with. I just went to a show not long ago with a buddy's band, El Centro, opening up for the Dead Boys, and ran into the old promoters, and we were talking about the bands used to roll through there in the 90s. Pretty amazing stuff.
Is a lot of the promoters from the 90s when you guys were playing still doing shows now?
There's a few, yeah.
That's cool to see, you know, because I'm guilty of it. You know, I was booking a lot of hardcore shows in Nashville in the 2000s and stuff, and I got out when it got slow, like you know, and now I kick myself in the ass because you know now it's like all kinds of shows coming through Nashville. But you know, it was what it was. I booked a lot of cool tours that came through. It was fun. You know, I got to book Mike V. That was cool.
Oh, nice.
So yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Actually, we booked his Project Revolution Mother. So that was pretty cool. So
Yeah.
well, gentlemen, we're gonna let you guys go. I don't want to keep you guys any much longer. I appreciate your time and
Thanks for
and
having us, man.
Yeah, thanks a
yeah,
lot
man.
for having us. We
I
really
had
appreciate
fun.
it.
You guys are cool cats, man. And it's Friday night, you know. What
We'd
else
love to
can
go on there again in the future. We really appreciate it.
Oh no, for sure. I love having repeating guests, especially fun ones. We just won't tell Jay. No. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah. He texted me at the last minute. It was like, hey guy, I'm not gonna be able to do it. I'm like, all right, no, that's cool. I didn't
Yeah,
know
it's his daughter's birthday in the morning. He's gotta do dad stuff.
it's cool, man. I don't have any kids, but if I did, you know, kids come first, especially if she's a daughter, because your daughters are you got
Yeah, it
your
was
babies.
interesting. My daughter, I never pushed the punk rock on her, but not too long ago, she lives down in Orange County, and she came up to visit us, and it was interesting. She said, "Dad, I listened to your record," and she pinpointed. It was funny. She pinpointed the songs that maybe I feel like I didn't put enough emotion into them, and she noticed it. So it's kind of
Oh
cool
wow.
hearing it from her.
Well, so you know, we Joe's kid thinks he's a nerd, so I'm not going to ask him this. But Brian, how many kids do you have?
I have two.
Two. And now, are they both into like punk rock or?
It's funny. My son, thinking about some of the old bands. I don't know if you're familiar with Shattered Faith. They were an early Orange County punk band. They're
Okay.
friends of our Denny, the guitarist. He's in El Centro also, but his drummer Steve Shears has his son's band. It's called The Garden, and they're kind of like a modern. I don't want to say like a modern punk, but they have a industrial kind of, and they're really big. And my son actually turned me on to them, and he asked me one day, you know, Steven Shears. I go, yeah, it's from Shattered Faith. So it's kind of a full circle. You know, this new punk generation is kind of tied into the old stuff.
Yeah, and it's cool that some of these younger kids will venture out and check out the older stuff because some of these bands don't even want to recognize the old stuff. You know,
Right.
I notice this a lot with hip hop. A lot of the newer hip hop don't even know even some 90s hip hop or you know, and let alone 80s hip hop, you know. It's just like I always tell people you should always check the history of what you're playing, like heavy metal, punk rock, hip hop.
Absolutely.
Know where the roots came from.
You're
You
right.
know,
I've shown some kids that are into rap, like Run DMC, and they look at me like, "What is this?"
I can do every damn Run DMC thing. That
I
was
love Run
that was my
DMC.
jam. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
You
man.
know, that's good positive hip hop was back then, you know?
Them and the Beastie Boys were the ones that got me into that.
Yeah.
Always been a
And the
big Beastie Boys
Yeah,
fan.
my daughter turned me on to. She was playing something the other day. It was some rap guys, and I was like, "This is the Beastie Boys. Like this,
oh,
like these guys are the Beastie Boys are a huge influence on whoever these guys are."
I don't know these guys' name, but there is this band, it's these two dudes, and they sound like they could be reincarnated Beastie Boys, and they're
Yeah, the guy
so
sounds like
good.
Mike D. Exactly. Like I
Yeah.
was like, and she had no idea what I was talking about because she's 17, right? And so I played the Beastie Boys, and she's like, "Oh yeah," they said, you know. She's like, "They sound like whatever that band's name," and I'm like, "No, it's the other way around.
Yeah. I
These
hate
guys
it.
sound like the Beastie Boys."
They were influenced by the Beasties for
Oh yeah, there's no doubt
sure.
about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Which is cool though, man. And then I got a niece and nephew who are they're twins as well. They're 16 and they're into a lot of this old stuff, which is great, you know. They like everything from like the Deftones
Mhm.
to their local Sacramento hardcore bands, you know. But then they love everything like Joni Mitchell and they love like Sinatra. Like they have like a big eclectic, and they're super talented. My when I was in California, my aunt was like, my sister, because I'm the uncle. My sister was like, "Hey, do you want do you want Nate to bring up his guitar? And I was like, no, I'm cool. Cause he's like a flamingo guitarist and shit. And like he plays like and like I'm like, no, And I'm like, I don't even play the bass. Like I just pretend like I do. I don't know how to play this shit, you know? And she's like, well, that's what he says he does. I was like, no, he makes love to that guitar. Like he's a beast on this thing, you know. But yeah, I asked him about all these new local like these bands in Sacramento. Like, how do you know about these bands? They're underground. I'm like, you guys call them underground. We just call them locals. You know, a local band. You know. All right. Well, guys, I enjoyed it. Don't go anywhere. I'm gonna end this, but don't go anywhere. All right.
Okay.
All right. Peace, guys.